one. So another welterweight fight that was on that card was Danny Roberts and Claudio Silva. Claudio Silva getting away with, again, a bit of a controversial decision in terms of a submission. So for those who haven't seen it or those who are unsure, it was done on a verbal tap out to the armbar that Silva managed in the third round. And in terms of the verbal tap out, this wasn't that Danny Roberts had turned around and said tap or stop. What Danny Roberts had done is Danny Roberts had screamed out in anguish, so screamed out in quite clearly audible, very severe pain from the strain on his elbow from the armbar. This was enough for the referee to feel he had to step in and call the fight. What was unfortunate was moments after that scream, Danny seemed to have scrambled out of the armbar position. Now, whether this was Silva letting it up as he heard the scream, or it was that Roberts successfully managed to defend the submission, it was all a little bit too late and the fight was called. So Danny Roberts clearly very emotional. I believe Dana White even spoke out to it and was quite unhappy with the finish. No surprise there, but Dana's very quick to jump in and call when he doesn't believe that a result was fair. We have to move on and on forward from there. So unfortunate for Danny Roberts, but again, a great example of someone who went in against a specialist like Silva. You know, Silva is known as a terrific Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and Danny Roberts went in there and not only put on a great performance, as far as I was concerned, he was winning the fight up until that point, but was again effectively and repeatedly defending great submission attempts and takedowns throughout that bout. So props to Danny Roberts and commiserations on the result. Well done to Silva as well, who, you know, in the face of adversity with the, you know, the amount of failed attempts, he did what I guess the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling guys do so well, is he just kept coming. He just kept applying the pressure. He kept looking for new avenues to get in and kept coming all the way through. Just down from the co-main event, we also had a light heavyweight bout between Volkan Oezdemir and Dominick Reyes. Dominick Reyes again taking a controversial decision win, which was really surprising because I think anyone who watched that fight, when you look at some of the comments on Twitter and the way people reacted to it, I think everyone believed that that went the other way and went to Volkan. So, you know, throughout that fight, throughout that event, we had a few controversial decisions, both on the refereeing and the judging point of view. The issue I have with it, and this is, you know, something I always say with my guys, is you can't leave these things in the judge's hands. So if it gets to the point where you're leaving it up to a decision, and this is in any sport, if it's not clear that you have won, that you've done enough, then that still falls on you. We can all agree that the judges gave the wrong call, but then you should have done more to make that gap all the more apparent to them and make it clearer. I'm not defending the judging, I'm not defending the decision either, but I think it's important to take a bit of personal responsibility for that. Volkan certainly felt like he was cruising in that third round. Now, whether that's because he felt he was 2 rounds up or not, he should have secured victory. You know, defeat your opponent and defeat them completely. It's one of the 48 laws of power, is you don't just defeat your opponent, you defeat them completely and convincingly. You don't leave any room for debate or return or anything of the sort. And if you looked at Volkan, if you looked at his demeanor, especially in that third round, I felt like he had more to give and he could have pushed it a bit harder. So it's a lesson learned for him. I can't remember off the top of my head if that's 3 losses in a row now, but it's certainly not great for him, even though his record is still perfectly great, 15-4. That's not a bad record at all. Dominick Reyes now taking 11-0, so really starting to get up into that talk about being a top 10 fighter.